When I was 12, a fortune teller at the Herbert Hoover Junior High School Carnival said to me, "Gemma Craig, you listen to me. Do not get married, ever. If you do, you'll end up cooking for a man who'd rather eat at McDonald's, doing laundry for a man who sweats like a rabid pig, then criticizes you for not turning his t-shirts right side out, and cleaning the bathroom floor after a man whose aim is so bad he can't hit a hole the size of a watermelon." This man sounded disgusting. Make your own money and be independent. Having kids is fine, but get married and you will be miserable for the rest of your life. I promise you, the rest of your life. This chilling prediction stayed with me long after I realized that the fortune teller was, in fact, Mrs. Rooks, the PTA president and neighbor who always gave out full-sized Three Musketeers bars on Halloween, and that her husband had left her that very morning for a cliché, a young, vapid, blonde bombshell. Mrs. Rooks had 4 kids, and at the time, I thought of her as really old, and I didn't quite get why she cared so much if she was married anymore or not. She was 37. I was 37 last year. But for the most part, I have followed that sage wisdom she imparted, whether it came from a place of deep inspiration or maybe from a place of bitter day drunkenness. It had an impact on me either way. Dating was fine. I love men. I love sex. I love having someone to banter with, flirt with, play romantic tag with, and finally yield to. Many, many times I have thought in the beginning of a relationship that maybe this guy could be different, and the relationship might last against the odds my young brain had laid out. But inevitably, things soured for me, usually in the form of boredom, and always within 2 months. Seriously. This was consistent enough for my friends to refer to it as 2 months too long. The good thing about a breakup at 2 months is that there usually isn't a lot of acrimony or anguish involved. The bad thing is that it gets tiresome after a while. Honestly, I'm a normal woman. I'd love to be in love. I'd love to have a family to take care of and to surround me as I navigate the years. But once I hit 37, I had to wonder if that was really in the cards for me. And if that was the case, I was okay with that because I had a career I loved that allowed me some of the better parts of June Cleaverdom, along with the ability to hang up the apron at the end of the day and be my own single self. I am a private chef. Being hired to cook for people is really different from standing around a kitchen with friends, drinking wine and making snacks. It's different from making a whole Thanksgiving dinner for family. It's vastly different even from cooking for strangers at the soup kitchen, where the pride of creating something delicious is just as compelling but somehow easier, less judgmental. Cooking for people in their homes can be like cooking for friends, but more often than that, it's like cooking for the meanest teacher in elementary school, someone you want to shrink away from, hide from, someone you hope to God won't call on you and make you speak in front of everyone else, someone you're pretty sure will yell and scream at you if you do one little thing wrong. The many scenarios include, but are not limited to, taking the fall for a failed party, the food wasn't good enough, taking the blame for a neglected hostess, you shouldn't speak with the guests even if they talk to you first, shouldering the blame for the burden of unused ingredients, I have to do something with the rest of these onions now, thanks a lot, and other failures of life in general. My husband doesn't want to come home on time for dinner, but if you made something he couldn't resist, then he would. Fortunately, most of the time I'm treated as if I'm invisible, which is okay with me, except the dodging out of the way of people and not making eye contact can sometimes be challenging. Still, I prefer that to being faced with accusations. At first, I didn't see this coming. I always loved to cook and got pretty good at it early on, though a few major mishaps come to mind. Root beer extract in cupcakes was a mistake, but it never occurred to me that I could make a living this way. I guess that seemed too domestic for me at the time. When I was working in Manhattan right after college, my mother tried to convince me time and again to meet a nice man and settle down. She wanted me to open a retirement account and my legs and start a future and family. Not me. After what I'd been through, I think I was seeking some form of anonymity. What I would have said at the time was that I simply wanted to be free to go wherever the wind blew me, like I was just a whimsical spirit blowing through life and open to everything. The problem was, the wind wasn't a reliable headhunter, so I moved from one go-nowhere job to another, proving my mother's fears more correct every day. Every time I found a job I liked, something happened to ruin it. Like when I temped in the props department for a local morning show in the city, and I mistakenly got a cat-in-the-hat costume out for a celebrity guest who was supposed to be Uncle Sam for a special 4th of July segment. But in my defense, the electricity was out, and it was very hard to see in the storeroom. And who would have thought they'd have a cat-in-the-hat costume at all, seriously? How often could that have come in handy?